Good evening, Unity on the Bay. Happy Monday evening. Happy Thanksgiving week. I'll just start off by saying how grateful I am for every one of you and for our beloved Unity on the Bay community. We had a wonderful experience yesterday, appreciating our staff and appreciating the journey over the past few years that Unity on the Bay has experienced, and are anticipating of a new home for us, a new physical facility. So lots going on at Unity on the Bay and in the world, and I'm really glad you're here tonight. If you're already online with me, let me know you're here by putting a comment in the comment section. Otherwise, I'm not sure that you're here. Oh, Jason, I didn't expect you tonight. You really are a diehard fan. I did start a little bit early. I thought you started early the time you did this. So I was trying to follow your cue. But anyway, hope you're doing well today, Jason. I know you have a lot going on. You've had a lot going on for weeks. And now you have more going on this week. But anyway, glad you're here. Anybody else, if you're here, let me know. Otherwise, I'm unaware unless I see your name in the chat. Just say hello, say good evening. Let us know you're here. Say happy Thanksgiving. Looking forward to that holiday. It's really my favorite holiday, I think, of the year, because it doesn't really involve any religious persuasion per se. It's a holiday that everybody can celebrate, since this isn't work. Jason's off this week, and I'm glad he's off. He's well deserving. Hey, Leslie, glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. Hello. Nice to have you here. Hi, Anna. I'm glad you're here tonight. Thanks for letting me know you're here. And if you've just joined us, throw me a post in the chat so I know that you're here. I'm kind of excited about tonight's book and the subject, and you just being a part of it. Let's see. Oh, Geeta, wonderful. I'd love to have her with us. And hi, Victor. Happy Thanksgiving. Glad you're here. I give thanks for each and every one of you, not only as a part of Shelf Discovery, but also as a part of the family, the community that is Unity on the Bay. We'll give a few more moments for people to join us. I did want to take a moment. Maybe we can do that a little bit later, I guess. I want to have a moment of prayer, but let me give you a little background, and we with you. Thanks, Anna. And yes, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. It's a beautiful holiday. We can all give thanks, no matter what our philosophical or spiritual or religious persuasion might be. It's a universal holiday that everyone can appreciate. I realize it has its origins in America, but the concept of it, of taking a day. Actually, I said yesterday, and I'll say it again tonight, every day is Thanksgiving Day as far as I'm concerned. There's always so many things to give thanks for. And I give thanks for you. So tonight, what we're going to do, my friends, is we're going to explore an old Unity classic. And I'm going to throw these in from time to time. They're not current releases by any stretch. The book tonight is What Are You? By Imelda Octavia Shanklin. I still remember the first time I quoted her. It was in an L&O, licensing and ordination, like a what do they call it? Verbal exam in ministerial program. And I said, I called her something, I don't remember, but it wasn't accurate. And I was quickly called on it. Imelda Octavia Shanklin. And it is, I think, one of the greatest Unity texts ever written. Geeta, there you are. Hi, beautiful lady. I'm really happy you're here tonight. I think you'll like this discussion. Just to give you a little bit of background, Imelda Octavia Shanklin was born in 1865 on October 1st in Iowa to a predominantly Methodist family. And they believe she was probably influenced by the Quakers who were prominent in that area. She never married prior to coming to Unity, prior to coming to Unity. She taught school, she wrote for a time, and ultimately in 1909, she ended up on the staff of Unity School of Christianity, which is the original name. Hi, Christina, glad you're here. which is the original name of what we now refer to as Unity World Headquarters, which is our world headquarters in Unity Village, Missouri, just a little outside of Kansas City, Missouri. So she was on the staff of Unity School of Christianity, the founding organization, and she worked directly with Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who were co-founders of the Unity movement, if you are not aware of that. She was the editor initially of We Wisdom magazine, which was a children's publication founded by Myrtle Fillmore out of her care and love for children. And ultimately, she became the editor-in-chief of all Unity publications. She, I believe, has had, and I like to say has because I don't think we ever really go anywhere, a phenomenal understanding of spiritual truth. And in the book, among many interesting concepts, and we'll see how many we have to delve into tonight, but the one that I really wanted to touch on was her ability to describe the two different, now she calls them worlds, but I would call them experiences of life. And they are the absolute and the what she calls fictitious. She refers to these two realms, or these two realms of experience, as the real and the fictitious. In the original Unity teachings, they would be referred to as the absolute and the relative. And the reason it's important to understand this from a Unity perspective is because we're always talking things that seem to be hard to understand, if not ridiculous to some people. When we talk about there is only one presence, it's God and it's good, and then you address someone who's looking out at the world of trouble and turmoil, and they say, how can that be? And what we say in Unity is there are two different ways you can experience this life. One of them is from the absolute, or in Imelda's terminology, the real, the spiritual dimension, which transcends the material dimension, and the fictitious, or the relative. This is a world that is made up out of our perceptions, or the lenses that we place over our eyes, that make this absolute realm of the goodness of God difficult, if not impossible, for some to be able to see or even imagine. And what I want to share with you tonight is a story that Imelda tells. It's preceded by some text here, but I love this story so much. It really helped me to understand the difference between these two worlds, the real world, or the absolute world, and the fictitious world, or the relative world. So let's delve into the pages of What Are You in the chapter, The Real and the Fictitious. Imelda says, each of these worlds has its own inhabitants. In the real world, there are God and his idea, which is you. There are living potentialities, vibrant and eager. There are the hosts of good, the as yet unrevealed splendors. I love, she's poetic in the way she writes. The unrevealed splendors, the vision of which Paul found not lawful to be uttered. There is work, the accomplishment of perfections of which you now have not so much as a hint. There is the endless progress on toward the heart of God, on until you awake with beholding his likeness. The fictitious world is inhabited by ghosts. Idle dreams drift through the areas of consciousness. Imaginations founded on ignorance walk with you. In that world, you construct dragons and then cower before them. Of the formless, you assemble forms of terror, which you permit to paralyze your mind. She says, I became aware of the hypnotic influence of the fictitious world in an experience which I here relate for the purpose of showing you how you may be yielding to your own imaginations. We were three girls. Here's the story. We were three girls in mid-teens. My companions asked me to tell them a ghost story. I had told them ghost stories on other occasions, but never before amid such favorable surroundings. We were in a lamp-lit room of a small, isolated house. The night was dark and windy. Tree boughs moaned, doors shook. At intervals, the air sighed eerily about the house. With secret zest, I acquiesced in their demand. I gave my imagination rein and spur. My companions began to respond. They shuddered, but still smiled. I saw that to give them the stimulation they were expecting, I should have to do better than I was doing. I did better. I heaped horror on horror. My companions ceased to smile. They cast fearful glances at open doorways to dark rooms. They clutched at each other, but eyed me expectantly. I was much encouraged by their appreciation. I broke all bounds. Possibilities were spurned and impossibilities were transcended. Gruesome situations, gruesome objects were depicted with mounting fervor. My audience was responding most satisfactorily. Then, all at once, without the slightest warning of the land of terrors into which my own fabrications had taken me, I believed that story myself. I sat rigid, frozen by the creations of my own fantastically misdirected imagination. My companions shouted with laughter. They took hold of me and shook me to break the hideous nightmare that I had created for myself. I was dazed with relief when I realized my commonplace surroundings. After that most successful recital, I never told those girls or anyone else another ghost story. I had lost my taste for being entertained in that way. Later, she says, I became aware that I was telling myself ghost stories of another sort. I saw these ghost stories had an effect similar to, but not so swiftly apparent, as the effect of the story I had concocted that dark and windy night. I closely watched results, and I found that when I told myself I was sick, the sense of sickness increased. I found that when I told myself that I was poor, my money did not go so far, and debts appeared. I found that whenever I chose my companions from the inhabitants of the fictitious world, my energies lagged to the time of their movements. Observing all these things, I resolved to tell myself no ghost stories of any sort. In addition, I resolved to tell myself the truth on all occasions. What do you think of that story? What's your response? What did it say to you? Anything? I think the reason why it impacted me so dramatically was because we've all been in situations. Maybe it's in a movie theater, maybe it's in a theatrical performance, where we walked into what we believed to be a performance, and at some point we lost our objectivity. We became immersed in the storyline, immersed in the drama, and it became as real for us. In other words, if but for a few moments in that movie theater or wherever we were when we were listening or absorbing the storyline, we lost track of what we would consider to be normal reality. We became immersed in the script that had been written and produced and directed. And what I got out of that, and I need you to let me know, this is interactive, folks. Come on, let's do this. How did you respond to that story? What I came to realize was that we are all, of course, the authors, the writers, we are the producers and the directors of our own life experience. It becomes, therefore, I believe, very important what kind of stories we are telling ourselves and the degree to which we allow ourselves to invest our belief in them. And this is how we begin to understand Unity's perspective of the one presence and the one power that is God in the midst of a world that is filled with polarities, opposites, and at its core, good and evil. From a Unity perspective, and a lot of people have not enjoyed the experience when I tell them this, but from a Unity perspective, we are in the kingdom of God right now. It's not a place to that we're going to arrive at someday or after we pass away. We're there now. We're just completely unaware of it because we have created a fictitious storyline for our lives that we have invested our belief in. And according to our belief, it is done unto us. That's just a law of the universe. What we invest our belief in becomes our experience of reality. Does not mean it is ultimate reality, but it's our experience. It's the lens or the glasses through which we are viewing the one presence and the one power of God that is contained within the kingdom of God. So given that, makes me want to become increasingly aware of when I am telling myself a ghost story, when I am telling myself something that is not founded in spiritual truth or that is out of alignment with what I'm desiring to believe and experience. Jason, I think it is impossible not to tell stories. I think once you realize this, you decide that it's impossible anyway, then you should at least tell yourself a good story. And you can. Thank you, Jason. You're always offering such wisdom. I mean, it is basically ultimately a storyline. According to your belief, it's done unto you. So the question becomes, what story are you writing, authoring, producing, and starring in? And is it a storyline? Is it a movie? Is it an experience that you really want to have in your life? And can any of us or all of us take on the ability, the liberation that comes from realizing we can write this story any way we want? And if we believe in the story that we have written, it is by the laws of the universe destined to arrive at the doorstep of our daily experience. Gita, we create them. We are the director, writer, actor, so make it a good story. Yeah, it's why, quite frankly, and this is not, maybe, how long has it been? Maybe it's been 5 years since I've stopped watching anything that evokes fear, horror. Some of you know I've admitted in front of all of Unity on the Bay that I used to be a Criminal Minds fan. So I'd watch them because I was so intrigued at observing human behavior and how people react under certain circumstances. There were some episodes that were so bizarre I couldn't watch, but I liked watching, or I should say I liked exploring what's the dynamic inside someone that would cause them to be this way. But it ultimately came down to the fact that I was not of the mindset that those storylines were supporting me or helping me or providing any kind of entertainment that I really wanted, even though I thought I did at one point. So I don't watch that kind of stuff anymore. Believe it or not, the last horror movie that I watched was, I don't even know, maybe I was in my 20s when The Exorcist came out. I don't want to watch that anymore because I don't want that stuff circulating in my mind. Some people would say it's similar when you turn on the news, which, by the way, you realize is a very well-produced drama. I'm not saying it isn't helpful. I'm not saying it isn't accurate. I'm not preaching fake news here. I'm just saying we need to remember that these programs are produced to entertain and to compel us and to hook us. And they're very good at that. So it's important to watch not only the stories we're telling ourselves internally, but also what we're watching, what we're allowing into the field of our awareness. So what do you think about this? Are you telling ghost stories to yourself this Thanksgiving week? Or are you telling stories that bring you a sense of optimism and hope and belief in the good and in what is possible? This is so important. And, a lot of these storylines, friends, were like fed and conditioned into us from a very early age because we've inherited the storylines of all the actors, if you will, that have preceded us. Out of alignment feeds the fear. Amen, Gita, and spoken like a true law of attraction devotee that I know you are. Out of alignment definitely feeds the fear. Let me just scroll down a bit here. Jason, I got to talk to you because I got this Unity logo over. There we go. over the chat section, so I can't always see anything until it moves down a bit. Jason says, science has already located two parts of the brain that deal with story making. I didn't know that. One part creates the story, and the other part of the brain has the job of making you forget you actually weaved the story. Wow. So that it can be lived out as if it is real. You know, I've read, I did not know Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of the Unity movement, but I have always appreciated his efforts to link science and spirituality. And so it always delights me when I read something like this, Jason, because I had not heard that. One part creates the story and the other part of the brain has the job of making you forget you actually weaved the story. Wow. So we are dealing with physiological, maybe even biological activity that's going on here to reinforce this role that we have of playing the storyteller. And it may not even be that right away, and this is the case with me oftentimes, especially if it's a fearful story, that I can get out of that story or that I can change the storyline. And maybe some of that, Jason, is because of just the automatic programming that's installed in my physical body. But what I think is that it is possible to get to a level where even if you cannot separate your story, you can get a little, or separate yourself from your storyline. You can get a little more objectivity. You can say, as you begin to root the awareness of spiritual reality into your consciousness, you can become a little bit better at catching yourself when you're in what I'm going to call a false storyline, or a storyline that isn't serving you, that isn't supporting you. And even that will take you a long way, because you can at least pause and say, wow, this is a wild story, but I do realize I authored it at some level. And that in itself helps to liberate you from victimization, because this is the key to victimization. We get into believing these stories and we are victimized by the stories themselves. It's so strange. Sometimes I think, geez, I wonder if God created this whole thing just for his own, you'll excuse me for saying, entertainment. Let's see, Jason, love this topic. So do I, and I'm glad you're here, Jason. I'm always glad you're here. And Gita, instead become the dreamer of your beautiful, wonderful life we wish to create. You know, sometimes people think we're crazy in Unity because we're running around spouting off all these positive affirmations in the midst of challenging and difficult situations. There can be a level of spiritual bypassing and not acknowledging the experience that we've created. But there is also a great deal of, I think, freedom from realizing that we can, we can reprogram ourselves. That's what affirmations and denials are all about in Unity, as we refer to it, affirmations and denials. Denial would be the denial of the power of the fictitious world or the story that we've been telling ourselves, and power found in realizing that we are able to have much more liberty. In fact, I believe total freedom in creating the storyline that we really want to live our lives from. Gita says, yes, the right brain creates the biological changes. See, you guys are so much smarter than me. I don't know any of this. And Jason, yes, I love the intersection of religion, spirituality, and science. Hey, you know, it's there. In fact, part of Charles Fillmore's dream was the marriage of science and spirituality, because he knew that, well, for one thing, as a scientist, you will find, and this is true of any individual in life, you will find what you are looking for. So if you go in with any particular hypothesis, like imagine going into the study of science from a purely spiritual perspective, and there are individuals who have done that, they will find what they are looking for, which is the link between the philosophical or the spiritual dimension and the practical, or in the case of a human body, the biological dimension, because it's there. It's always there. Gita, meditation also does that. Meditation does that. You're right, Gita. And meditation does it, I think, primarily by calming down the mind, because the mind is the great storyteller. It's the mind that's up there, you know, concocting this drama that we are living out of. When you go into meditation, it is possible. In fact, for me, it's one of the aims of meditation to quiet the mind. So you're like silencing the storyteller. And that is a very effective and efficient route, I believe, into living a more balanced life that really reflects spiritual truth. Yes, Jason, don't crucify me on this one. I would never crucify you, Jason Weeks. And if I so much as put a nail in my hand, the whole world would crucify me because you're so loved. Don't crucify me on this one, but I think there are large parts of Christianity that are fiction. However, it has served many, many people in a positive way just by believing in it. Yeah, I am really in the crucifixion mode here, Jason, because you know that I wouldn't crucify you over anything, but certainly not that, because I think it's true. I'm in total agreement with you. I think there are fictitious parts of Christianity. I think in some ways the Bible in large part is like a fiction that points to a deeper reality. That's why I love in Unity that we metaphysically interpret not only the Bible, but we believe all of life. We metaphysically interpret it, which means we go for that deeper meaning. What is the fiction here really trying to tell us about ultimate reality? At any rate, there's a little Imelda Octavia Shanklin for you tonight. Victor, thank you. I got to get down past that Unity logo again because I can't read what you're saying here. I don't know but I can go down to, but also the story our parents and grandparents told themselves. Science is studying more and more intergenerational trauma. Yeah. That's why we're never, I don't think, going to experience this world much differently than we are right now until we identify and arrest the false storylines that we're allowing to create this wild experience of reality that we have before us. So thank you, Victor. Now I can read the whole thing. I don't know if we are just dealing with a story we've told yourself, but also the stories of our parents. Absolutely. And that's why it's so important, I believe, for us to do the work of clearing our own consciousness, identifying our own storylines and our own fictitious life, because we are reaching, I believe, many of us, a level where, because we're aware of what's going on here, we can do something about it. We save not only ourselves from the fictitious storyline, but we save our families, we save our children, because we woke up. Maybe that's what spiritual awakening is all about, waking up to the fiction of it and recognizing we have the ability to create a new reality. All right, my friends. Oh, wait a minute, Gita. Doesn't the story allow people to stay? I can't quite make that out here. Gita, I'm sorry. I don't remember having this problem in the past, but I'm having it tonight. Maybe that is a mobile Unity on the Bay logo up in my corner of the screen. But so anyway, I'm grateful that you're here. You can get this book on Amazon. I looked it up before tonight's program just so that I could make sure that I was speaking truth. Again, we're here every Monday night at 6 p.m. with Shelf Discovery, and it's called Shelf Discovery because as I continue my journey in minimalism, I have fewer and fewer books, but I have these that have been my Bibles over the years, and it brings me great joy to delve into the pages of them and share them with you. Thank you so much for being a part of tonight. Now I can read it. Doesn't the story of the Bible allow people to stay in hope? Absolutely it does. And it's the same thing. What you believe. I am going to wrap this up here in just a moment. Now I lost my train of thought. What you believe, what you invest your belief in will work for you. I have many friends who are staunch believers in every single word of the Christian theory and dogma. And they find truth in it. They find hope in it. And I do too. I just read from the scriptures yesterday. And the Unity movement is founded on the scriptures from a spiritual or from a metaphysical perspective. All right, I'm just blabbing on here, and it's almost 6:30, and you all have things to do this week, but I am honored and grateful that you took these few moments to spend with me tonight. Love you with all of my heart, and please believe me, know when I say that I am so grateful for you. Being a part of my life, being a part of the life of Unity on the Bay. And I wish you the best Thanksgiving of your entire life. Thanks for being with us tonight on Shelf Discovery. We'll see you next Monday. Be well, be blessed.